and welcome to my weekly video blog, and today I'm going to be talking about crying, fear and worry and what the causes can be in the perimenopause and menopause. If you like my tips and advice, then please subscribe and remember to hit the bell icon so you can be notified of all my new videos. So do you find you're crying at the drop of a hat or even over nothing, or that you're starting to get really fearful about things? Or are you worrying non-stop about things that you didn't used to do beforehand? This whole scenario, it can be extremely distressing. It can come on really quickly, even without warning. And if you're at work or in front of other people or family, it can be really embarrassing. And it's just one of the really horrible situations that you feel totally out of control with. So the main reason for this is we know that as estrogen falls, this can have quite a big impact on your emotional ability to keep things under control. So basically, you know, as women, we can be very stoic and, you know, we try to put a brave face on things. But when estrogen falls, sometimes that ability just completely disappears and we have no control over our emotions and how we feel. So very often the way it can happen is, especially in the perimenopause and early menopause, when your hormones are still changing, you can get times where your estrogen can go up and then it can go down and up and down. So this kind of yo-yo effect can really play havoc with our emotional control. And when estrogen dips, and it can literally do it on the spot, this is when our mood can really change without warning and just all of a sudden. So sometimes with the crying, so this is quite a big one. As I say, this can be really sudden. A lot of you may find that you can't watch the news anymore because all the things that are happening that are sad, that are very negative, will make you sit and cry. You might find that you're crying now at films that you used to be absolutely fine with. You may find you're crying at nothing. You don't know why you're crying. And I know with myself, it's one of these things that, you know, has stuck in my mind forever. I remember once just absolutely fine one minute, the next minute, there was this sense of impending doom. I almost felt like the world was going to end in that minute. It was just so awful and heart-rendering. And I just cried myself silly. And then suddenly it just stopped. And then I'm like, oh, that was a bit strange. You know, and I have no idea why it happened, even to this day. But I just feel that sense of utter sadness and loss. It was just absolutely incredible. So I do understand, you know, if any of you feel like this particular one. You might find, you know, I had a friend who just stopped watching the news because she literally just couldn't cope with it. The other thing that can happen is that you can become more sensitive to other people. So, you know, somebody may be jesting with you and instead of laughing over it, you take it to heart. You think people are maybe making a dig at you. Maybe people are criticizing you when they're not. But you feel so sensitive, you end up picking up the wrong end of the stick all the time. And I know from those of you that tell me that this can be a big issue in relationships, because suddenly the balance changes and you can't cope with either partner's behavior or even your friends or even your boss. Sometimes suddenly you just feel overwhelmed and really you just want to go and shut yourself away and have a really good cry. The other one is fear. And again, this is another big one. You can suddenly feel really fearful for your family. All you can think about is doom and gloom and what's going to happen to them. You might find that you're fearful of what's going on in the world. It just seems all terribly negative and you just can't find any good news. You can't find anything uplifting. It just seems to be this horrible doom and gloom. One of the common aspects of this is you start to feel, you get the fear first thing in the morning, and that can be accompanied by palpitations and also really kind of shallow breathing. And it's another one that can be really frightening first thing in the morning, because you wake up and suddenly you're in this state of panic and fear. One of the things that happens, and again it's to do with the fact that we're less able to control our emotions. We have, I call it the reptilian brain. So it's the very ancient part of our brain, and it is associated basically with survival. So you imagine a lizard, hiding somewhere in the undergrowth or in a burrow. It's got to be aware of everything all the time, because it doesn't know when there's going to be a predator coming along to snatch it up for dinner. So that part of your brain, the minute you wake up, before your sort of normal self clicks in, this reptilian brain starts looking for danger. It's wide awake, it's there, it's on tender hooks, your heart's pumping, the adrenaline's going, and you're just feeling this kind of awful panicky state. Eventually, normally that calms down, but you've started off the day in a state of panic, and sometimes it can take quite a while before everything calms down, and that sets you up in the wrong place sometimes for the rest of the day. The other thing that happens a lot is worry. We worry a lot more. We worry about things that, beforehand wouldn't bother us at all. We start to worry about what other people are thinking of us, which maybe we were really confident beforehand, but now we worry about what people are going to think of, especially at work. Maybe there's this what's going to happen scenario, that there's maybe an issue coming up. So it goes round and round. You replay the whole scenario word for word, over and over again, maybe for days at a time. So again, you're in that state of constant worry, maybe a little bit scared about what's going to happen. And then when the situation occurs, it's completely different to what you've been worrying about for days at a time. You can also get into the past worry. So you can start looking back in the past and go, oh, could I have handled that differently? If I'd said this, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So again, you're in this constant state of worry about something that you can no longer change. So what can you do to help yourself in these three situations? The really important thing here is to support your nervous system. If you get your nervous system much more stable and more robust, you're less likely to fall into these types of scenarios. B vitamins are great for this. And for those of you that have been watching for a long time, you know how much store I put into magnesium. We have a couple of products with magnesium in them that can be very, very helpful. We've got our Focus Perimenopause, and with the magnesium, this can help your psychological processes and also support your nervous system. And we also have magnesium in our menopause support. Other thing that's really important is dehydration, because dehydration will have a huge impact on your nervous system. And especially in the morning, if you're getting this kind of panic and fear first thing in the morning, especially if you've been getting night sweats, a lot of this will be down just due to dehydration. So this is really, really important. Maybe some kind of magnesium supplement with your evening meal, and have a shot glass of warm water just before you go to bed. And for those of you that keep saying, why does it have to be warm water? If you take a glass of cold water at night, it's going to shock your digestive system, and that's going to keep you awake. So you want really calming things before you go to bed. The other thing here to remember, and I get so many of you are sitting in a state thinking, this is all in my head. What's wrong with me? Am I going mad? You also maybe have not so helpful friends or family who are just saying to you, are you out of your head? This is not, you are not going mad here. You're not going out of your head. This is a real physiological situation due to all the hormonal changes going on. So please take heart from that. The thing to do in this situation as well is talk to your friends and family. If you find that the cry, they're probably worried sick, why is mum, why is my partner, why is my friend crying all the time? So explain to them what's going on and get them on your side, and that can make a huge amount of difference. Now, in this situation, for most people, it's a phase. You might, I think my crying phase lasted about 6 months and then just completely went by the by. Or the other thing, before I forget, if you do get a crying episode, if you can, go away and have a real good cry, because you then get it out. If you have to suppress it, it just pops up again. So having a real good cry can be very cathartic just on its own. But for some of you, you may find that this is becoming all-consuming. The fear, the worry gets to the point where you can't cope with it. There can also be fear and paranoia going on. So if this scenario is getting to the point where you feel it's affecting your daily life, it's affecting your mental health, please get this checked by your doctor. For some women, the hormonal flux is just too great to cope with, and you may need some extra help just to get yourself through this particular phase. So don't suffer with this in silence. Please just ask for help. So I hope you found this one helpful. Have you experienced any of this? What did you do? What kind of support did you get? Please share your stories. I love reading them, and I'm sure the majority of other listeners and watchers enjoy it and may get comfort and help from you. And I will see you next week. And until then, have a lovely week.